Alright, welcome back to my Dark Souls series, Dark Souls 2, SotFS Sin on PlayStation 4. Today I will be breaking down my Paladin build in depth. To start, my soul level is 251. For this build, 252 was my minimum. As you can see, my health, my vigor is 35. My endurance is 39. I'm going to get that to 40. Vitality 75, and there's a reason why that's so high. My attack, my attunement is 20, just so I can have 4 slots, which I'll explain. Excuse me. Just smoked, my bad. Trying not to cough so bad. My attunement slots I have at 4. My minimum, like for any good situation, is like 7, and I have the ring, the Southern Ritual Band +2, which gives you 3 extra slots. And then I also have a hat that I can put on that gives me an additional slot for 8 attunement slots. Sometimes I need that many for a boss, and I'll explain that further later. My strength and dexterity are very low, as you can see, 20 and 25 respectively. And for a quote-unquote strength build, that's very fucking low, obviously, but there's also another reason for that. My adaptability is 22. My adaptability is 22, which is honestly the only stat that I would increase if I could. Intelligence 20 and faith 50 for my faith build. Now, my attunement and my intelligence for a faith build, the only reason they're so high, like I said, is for my cast speed and for my attunement slots. I don't have the camera connected, just voice. We'll listen to it later, it's fine. Now into my setup. It distracted me. The reason my the reason my vitality is so high at 75 is because I want to keep my equip load. I like under 40%. I like that little bit of distance, but I found that if you keep it under 50, you still have the maximum. Keep it under your equip load under 50, and if you can see my agility in the third or the fourth column, second to the bottom is 101. If you keep your agility above or at 100 and keep your equip load under 50, you have the maximum amount of iframes, invincibility frames, when you roll and or backstep. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like 12 iframes during a roll. Plus, since my equip load is kind of low, I get the medium distance rolled, which is fine because sometimes the far distance throws me over the edge accidentally, and that happens more than I like to admit. So it's just throwing a little bit of heavier armor, which is okay because it's better defense. As I was saying, 12 iframes per roll, and on a backstep I think you have 8 iframes, which I don't backstep often, but it saved me once or twice. Speaking of armor, I have the armor, the torso, legs, and arms of the Forlorn, which is special enemy armor. It's a boss, I'm thinking, if I remember correctly. I just don't remember which one it is. But as you can see, it's some pretty sexy-ass, knight-esque. It looks like a fucking suit of armor, but you walk around in it. And, like, I'll turn up the volume when I throw up my next video so you can hear just, like, the way it creaks when you walk. It's fucking sexy. If I'm not paying attention, I'll think another enemy's walking up behind me just because of how good it sounds. As you can see, I'm wearing my Mad Warrior mask, another specialty item. As you can see, all my armor is +5. That means it is specialty armor. +10 would be normal, regular, standard armor. But these, like I said, the Forlorn's from an enemy, a special enemy, and this is from an NPC invader. But the reason I like this mask is, one, because it's creepy as fuck. It looks really cool. I can't zoom in anymore at the moment. But honestly, I chose it for the hair. It looks like the Predator mandibles. my Paladin build, I feel like I said, when I play these games, I like to pretend I'm that character, and this is what I would do or what I would wear. And this is definitely a suit of armor that I would wear that looks badass, has decent strength stats. My physical defense is 139. You know, my magic defense is 140, so it has same physical and magic defense, higher, you know, and then all of the other defenses, the status ailment, elemental defenses, I'm sorry, as you can see, are right there. Like, it has very good defense, very split, equal defense around the whole damn board, which is honestly all I really look for, because I don't look to get hit. But I know if I get hit, you know, it's not going to matter if it's the motherfucker shooting fire, or the motherfucker shooting magic, or the motherfucker with the big ass sword. It's all going to hit me roughly the same damage. So, you know, I can approach the same all enemies with the same mind of I can trade 1 or 2 hits before I have to heal, and then, you know, which is how I figure out, you know, their attacks, you know, this, that, or the other, and then if that doesn't, after I heal, like, boom, okay, I see that. It's kind of like a failsafe, you know, you have just enough armor for any enemy, and then you don't have, but you still have enough weightlessness to roll away. But that takes care of the armor. On the other subject of weight, I have my Chloranthy Ring +2, which makes your stamina increase, your stamina regeneration increase. Ring of Blades +2, which was a bitch to get. I'll explain that one later. But that adds a +50 to your attack, physical attack. Your Ring of Steel Protection, and these are the 2 that I never switch. I'll always keep these 2. These bottom 2 are the ones that I'll switch out if I need to. Bottom 2 is my Life Ring +3, which adds 3 to my overall health. And if you see, it's not a lot, but it's kind of a lot. Like, it makes, like, that could be the difference between 1 or 2 extra hits and getting knocked the fuck out, you know, one shot. So it helps, but like I said, that's one of the optional ones. And then I have my Ring of Steel Protection plus increases, again, my physical defense, because that's what I care about. I don't roll under shit. I always have my shield to block. More on that in a second. Now I said these are my 2 optional rings. This is, like I said, my all-around, everything, can take on anything build. Utilitarian build, that's what I'm looking for, sorry. So if I need to, you know, extra life doesn't mean that extra hit of life makes a difference, but not really. So I can either throw in to increase, depending on the boss or the enemies I'm facing, increase my resistance to either, as you can see, those ailments. Since I do have a faith build, I can throw on my Lightning Clutch Ring to increase my lightning attack damage. More on that in a second. If I die like 2 or 3 times and my health gets way too low, throw on my Ring of Binding, give me my 50% health back. My Southern Ritual Band +2, which is what I said earlier, gives me my 3 extra attunement slots, and I'll show you why I need that in certain scenarios. And then I also have my Stone Ring, and this is the one that I actually prefer to throw on, usually. And this is additional reduction of enemy poise, and I'll explain why that's important when I explain why I use the Saint-Tier Spear. That's for the ring. Just more on the Southern Ritual Band, I'll throw that on real quick. And then, like I said, my other piece of armor is for my Black Witch hat, and as you can see, I definitely do not wear that for the armor rating, because it sucks balls. That being said, it is a headpiece, so it's only, you know, a small minimal part of your overall armor rating. But again, that kind of drop, is noticeable. That's like the difference between the life ring and not wearing it. Like that's that 1 extra hit that could save my life, is the difference between wearing these 2. So I definitely do not throw my Black Witch hat on lightly. But if I need that extra attunement slot, boom. The reason why I say I might need that is because usually I only have Denial and Sunlight Blade on. Denial, and I'll show you what it does in my next video. Denial, you get hit. Fuck it, I'll throw it on. Self-buff. That little aura, as long as you have that on, you know if you get knocked the fuck out, HP taken down to 0, you get back up with 1 HP. Like, you can't see your health bar. It looks like you got knocked the fuck out, like you're about to die. But your guy gets up, and you gotta be careful and remember that you have denial on if you're using it in the boss fight, and because that's happened to me. I'll forget I have the motherfucker on. What's that silly dumb? I'll forget I have the motherfucker on. Try to dodge, get knocked the fuck back, think I'm dead, and then my guy gets back up, and instead of getting ready to dodge, I'm thinking, holy shit, what the fuck, he didn't kill me. Remember, it was denial, fuck up my timing, and then it was just like a waste. You know, I got an extra 3 seconds out of it instead of it being able to roll away and heal and getting an extra second chance. But that's the only downfall of denial, or that's the first downfall. The second downfall is that it takes up 3 attunement slots right off the bat, and I only have 4. So my other one is used for Sunlight Blade, which is a self buff. Again, I have the Paladin build. So all my lightning damage is maximized, and that's all that does is add lightning damage. So these are the 2 that I normally go through the level with, because I'll find if I run into a mob of enemies that is being a bitch to me, I'll just throw on denial just in case they happen to backstab me, or, you know, I'm uncareful and they get lucky, whatever. And then I'll throw out Sunlight Blade to boost my damage, that, you know, further decreasing the time I have to fight them, further decreasing the time I fuck up, or decreasing the time they get lucky. So these are like my 2 fail-safes, even throughout the levels as I'm going to clear them out. So, you know, as you see, this is my Lightning Dragon Chime. This is my, what do you call it? My chime. Obviously, it's not a staff. It's used to cast miracles, and this one does hexes, and it's the best one for lightning miracles because, as you can see down at the bottom, lightning damage is S scaled, and even in the bottom right hand corner you can see that it's lightning infused. That being said, it still has the S scaling and lightning, making it the best catalyst chime wise for faith builds. And this was kind of a pain in the ass to get. You had to defeat Dark Lurker, which, if you don't know how to fight him, can seem like a very easy fight until he splits into 2. But, you know, that's a fight that I can show you later if you're interested. For my range, I have my Bow of Want, which is lightning infused, also +5. And as you can see, these are also specialty weapons, all +5, meaning they're upgraded with specialty items that are a pain in the butt. You have to farm them to get all the specialty items. Even the fucking Black Witch Hat are all specialty items, which means you have to farm what you need to upgrade them. Bow of Want, you got that from using the soul of the boss of the whole entire game. So this is like the last bow you could possibly get. You have to take this in the New Game Plus. But honestly, it's got the power of a great bow with the speed and draw of a normal bow. It's just powerful. I'll shoot one normal arrow, an iron arrow, and if you see down here, I have equipped iron arrows and lightning arrows. I had 999 of these motherfuckers, and in my inventory, I can sit down and show you, I also have another 999 on backup, which cost me like 114,000 just to get that 1,998 stockpile. Yeah, that cost a pretty fucking penny. But like I said, I'm a Paladin and I have lightning damage max, so naturally I'm gonna have a nice stock of lightning arrows for maximum damage with minimal effort. But just in case, you know, I have those motherfuckers that are at range and they have high elemental, you know, I have the iron arrows, or, you know, I have my magic arrows, fire, dark, lacerating, which causes bleeding. You know, I have the backup, but lightning, seeing as that's what my damage is maxed in. Okay. You know, obviously, naturally. I said my Bow of Want. Now this I can't buff, and I can't throw pine resins on, and by buff I mean, like, let me sit down, restock. You know, I can't throw Sunlight Blade on it, and if I try to throw, like, say, put fire on it, I can't do that. And that's the same That's the same with the Dragon Jam. Oops. Like, let's just say I tried, for some reason, you know, I want to throw a buff on it, I can't. Which makes it perfect for being offhand, or, you know, second or third choices. Because those are my backup weapons. This is in case I need to, you know, I have a group of enemies, they don't see me coming up, I can pick them off, you know, or pull one away from the crowd, you know, type shit. Or, you know, in case I run out of, you know, buffs, and I don't have any type of magic herbs, thank you, to give myself more magic, which like never ever happens, honestly. The bow's really for picking people off, or if I want to switch up my playstyle. That being said, on to my main weapons of choice. You did it. Give me half a second. He hit himself in the face with the fucking lights. Dominic. Here, dude. Here. Look. Oh, what's that? Leapfrog. Okay, as I was saying. Main two weapons. If, and I do say if, I use a shield, because a lot of times I two-hand my weapon, and the Ring of Blades +2, which I said was a bitch, will come in handy for that, but we'll explain that in a second. If I use a shield, I use my Twin Dragon Great Shield +10, +10 meaning it is a normal weapon, and I point that out because this is a Great Shield. Great Shield blocks more physical damage, usually, than normal shields. That's why they're so damn big. Usually they're heavy because they're so damn big. This one's the lightest one, and it also has 100% physical damage reduction. Up there it says 97.2, but I could boost that if I fucking wanted to. But that's close enough to 100 for me to fucking count. And as you can see, the resistances for anything else are halved, which is fine for me, because like I said, for when I see someone coming with fire or magic or any kind of elemental effect or status ailment, I like to roll. I don't like to dodge anyways, because I like to get those fights over with. My shield is literally for blind walking around corners, or like I said, it has great physical reduction. So if I have a mob, you know, I can have them, you know, hack away at my shield, still have enough stamina to wang wang. Now, I like to point out my Saint-Tier Spear, +5, meaning it's a special weapon, and also point out that it's raw. And the last thing I'd like to point out is that the stat requirements to use it is 20 and 22 for strength and dexterity respectively, and that's exactly why my stats are so low, 20 for strength and 25 for dexterity. Only reason I had put the 3 extra in dexterity is because I'm OCD. I like all my shit to be even. And which is why I say my endurance is going to get to 30, or it's going to get to 40. And I might even go the extra mile and go to soul level 257 and get my health, my vigor up to 42, just to have like a minimum. But because I will have to grind for my perfect build, perfect Paladin build for New Game Plus Plus, which I'll get into later. But back to my raw Saint-Tier Spear. The fact that it has no type of scaling whatsoever means it's perfect for raw, because it gives it just that much extra physical damage. And because I would like my character to be primarily melee and only use its Faith Paladin skills to buff, or in emergency situations like Sunlight Spear, which is the reason for the Sunlight Ritual Band and the extra attunement slots. I haven't forgot about that. But like I said, primarily melee, which is where the Bow of Want comes in at. I don't want to expend magic if I don't have to. But like I said, raw Saint-Tier Spear. No stat investment needed to wield this awesome weapon. Only offset by the fact that you get it like 2/3 of the way through the game. So you definitely have to respec if you want to, you know, capitalize off using it. That being said, it is not, in my opinion, it is widely known fact that it has the most versatile moveset in the entire game, which is the exact reason why I love it. One-handing it, you have the shield poke of a spear, and the only difference is this is like a lance type poke without the charging thrust. And the only reason I say that is spears, you can hold a shield up and still poke. This one, as you can see, even with my shield up, it still has the thrust, the weight behind the thrust, making it more of a lance type thrust, minus the 3-4 foot charge. That's one-handed R1. The R2, you have the halberd smash. Okay. For the jumping attack, you have your spear jump, and that's like the typical pole arm. I'm sorry. Your rolling attack, oh my fucking god. Your rolling R1 is a twin blade-esque type attack. Your rolling R2, and see how fast the stamina regen's coming in. Chlorine the ring works wonders. Your R2 is a rolling halberd smash, and that's if, like I said, I need to use the shield, which it's a special occasion. I don't usually like to use the shield, or honestly, I'll use the shield one-handed and have the shield out, or my dragon chime out, because I like the poke. It does very great damage, especially with lightning infused with sunlight blade. The bouncer. Especially when infused with sunlight blade, it does great poke damage. I get 400 plus, depending on how weak the enemy is to lightning. It can get upwards of 800 plus with just, you know, 2 simple pokes that are very quick. You know, I'll dodge with the boss, especially throw up the shield, take a hit, you know, or dodge and have the shield up just in case I fuck up the dodge. You know, and then poke, and then, you know, keep moving, or, you know, poke, keep it moving. I can do 1 or 2 pokes, get a good anywhere from 400 to 1800 damage in with just those 2 quick jab, and that's the one-handed attacks. Very viable. Two-handing it though is where this weapon shines, and this is where the Ring of Blades +2 comes in, and also. This is why I like throwing on, since I'm not getting attacked, I like throwing on the Stone Ring, additional reduction of enemy poise. Two-handing it makes the R1 swing twin blade moveset, which is very quick. That's probably, okay, this is tapping the button once. Tapping the button twice gives you that second swing. Right, that's 1, 2, that's like 4 hits. And that's like 8 hits right there on one enemy at a time, right? The reason I point that out is, and again, the attack box for this, as you can see, is on the tip of the spear is very fucking wide, but you also have a small hitbox behind you, and you'll see that as I'm going through the levels in later videos where I'll be fighting groups of enemies and not be scared, because I'll be fighting the enemy here, you know, and once his health is down to 1 or 2 hits, I'll switch the guy over here, knowing that when the guy comes up behind me, that little backswing will finish him off before he can even touch me. I'd like to point out on this weapon, if you look all the way to the right under equipment status, and I'm sorry, in the left-hand column, all the way on the bottom, the 35, that's enemy poise. That's the reduction, the damage it does to enemy poise. 1 hit does 35 damage, and usually poise break for most enemies is around 70, so you need 2 hits. Well, 1 button does like 4 hits, so even if you miss with the first or second, you see I take that little step forward, it has a nice range on it, I'm gonna hit him twice, I'm gonna break a guard, usually just hitting it once. So this is a great weapon, you know, going through levels, you can rush through most minor enemies, just spamming R1 because it breaks the guard so much with the Ring of Blades. You know, every hit gets plus 50 damage, so, you know, just 1 swing gives me plus 200 extra damage. You know, the whole thing, in theory, would give me plus 400 damage extra with just that ring. Two-handed is, that's halberd, if I'm not mistaken. That's a halberd R2. The jumping attack, two-handed, is the same spear, the same pole arm, and then the roll. That's tricky. Two-handing the roll is difficult in a lot of bosses because you have to, the hitbox for that is very linear. It's very small in comparison to how long the weapon is. So that little slash is a bitch sometimes. And then the two-handed strong roll is again very. I was using it. Very twin blade-esque, I'm sorry. But like I said, I use this weapon because it's very versatile. All those movesets have very specific purposes. If you can't approach an enemy, you know, like this, if they have too much poise, you know, or you want to finish them off quickly, honestly, if you know, poking's faster, you know, this is a very, very versatile weapon. But the last thing I haven't explained about this build is why I need this bad boy, the Southern Ritual Band 2. Let's just say I need to throw that on real quick because I am technically hollow, as you can see by my hat. Sometimes though, I do need, against a lot of bosses that are, most bosses who are weak, I'll throw on my Southern Ritual Band +2, which gives me 3 extra slots, and then my Black Witch hat, which gives me that extra slot. I'll throw on an extra Sunlight Blade, give myself 2 of those. I'll throw on Sunlight Spear, which is what you get for ranking your Covenant, the Heirs of the Sun Covenant, the Sun Bros Covenant, to rank 3, which means you have to have 30 Sunlight Medals, meaning you have to help 30 players online defeat a boss. And when I say I need to level my character up by grinding, this is exactly what I mean. I want like 2 more Sunlight Spears, that way I can have like 6 of these bad boys. But that's gonna, you know, require me to help 60 more players online, and it took me like 3 hours just to help. It took me like 2 hours just to help like 10 people. So that's major fucking grinding, which is where I think I'll have the soul to get to level 257, get my vigor up to 40, yada yada woo woo. But you know, I'll throw on an extra Sunlight. If it's a boss that I'm gonna melee mostly, I'll throw on an extra Sunlight Blade, and then you know, I'll throw on my Sunlight Spear, which takes up 2 attunement slots, as you see, and then I'll throw on a Great Lightning Spear because those give me 5 spears to throw in total. But if you know, if it's an enemy that if I'm co-oping or helping fight a boss, or you know, only need, you know, the buff lasts for like 60 seconds on your spear. If I'm only going to need 60 seconds, you know, I'll throw on an extra Great Sunlight Spear, give myself 8 spears to throw, still 60 seconds to do great damage, and still if I get one-shotted, I fuck up. All that being said, I do still have spell, you know, bringing back items. So, you know, I use up all my Sunlight Spears, use up all my Great Lightning Spears, and I run out of Sunlight Blade, you know, eat an Amber Herb or a Will to Dusk Herb or whatever to grab. I remember this scene. I used to thought this scene was funny as hell. So I can bring my magic back, sorry. It takes place of the MP regeneration items. Whatever. I hope they change that in Dark Souls 3. That's just me. I like the Demon Souls MP bar, but again, that was just me. And then everything down here on my item bar is optional. I like to keep, you know, my top row is usually the same. My Estus Flask, obviously, that's the max you can have, +5 and 12 of them. Can't do any more. Trust me, I tried. Your Aged Feather is just your brings you back to the last bonfire in case you get stuck or you run into a boss fight with too many souls unknowingly. You can, you know, warp out and not lose an item on it. Divine Blessing, you know, it cures all status effects and it cures your whole HP. Fully restores HP, thank you, sorry. Poison Moss, because I find I get poisoned a lot in this game by enemies that you wouldn't expect to get poisoned. So I was keeping Poison Moss on hand to stop the poison buildup, or Monastery Charms, or Dragon Charms, you know, to cure poison. This I keep rogue water restores spell usage and restores HP. Crimson water does the same thing. You know, I have dried root, and I have all my items on me for HP restoration should I run out. I have my bombs, fire, magic, or lightning, magic. I'm gonna throw that away. I have my buffs in case I go into a boss fight and I don't want to put armor on. I'll just throw a burr on. Magic, lightning, fire. I have the buffs for my weapon should I need them. Actually, and that's another thing about the Saint Tier Spear is you can buff it with resins and with self buffs too. So that's great. I can put magic, fire, dark, poison. There's another one, but I don't have it apparently. I have my repair powder, which I will never need because the Saint Tier Spear is broken. It has an infinite durability. But for my other weapons, my build before, I needed a couple repair powders. Anyways, bonfire aesthetics, my butterfly just in case I happen to wander through a dark area that I just happen to be scared of, which never happens. And my soul vessel, obviously I always like to keep one on hand just in case I want to try something out. And then yeah, that's pretty much my build so far. This is literally supposed to be like a 5-minute video. Turned out to be 30. But yeah, going back to default, I usually don't need that extra 2-in slot. And boom, boom. And that's that. Next video is coming up of the film night. See you in a minute.
Grateful to